Donkey Kong Bananza, Arcade Archives 2, Ridge Racer, and Ofrenda. This is Staying In.
It's raining. Where I am.
All right. Okay. So, I don't know. Usually we have the theme tune before we go into Peter Willington's Weather Hour, but just slightly breaking with the format this time. So go on. It's raining.
Well, it's raining, and I feel like it's nearly August now. We're by the time that we're listening to this, it will be August. I feel like maybe we're getting towards the end of. It feels like we're getting towards the end of summer, even though we're about to go into August. But it definitely feels like it.
It's the vibe of someone who's just given up. It's just, what's the point?
I've given up on summer. It's been lousy.
But you'd also given it up when it was too hot.
Yeah. I was talking with Alex about this today.
What's going on, Pete? What is it that's really kind of making it tough?
What's really grinding my gears? I tell you what, I was talking with Alex about this today, and I feel like I'm really glad that we've got 4 seasons, because just by the time that you start to get really annoyed with the fact that it's a bit too hot, the next season comes along and you go, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm up for a bit more of this. I'm up for a bit of rain, for example. And I'm actually quite enjoying the fact that it's been raining today, because I'm done with heat. I'm done with it. I'm officially calling it.
It doesn't sound like you're happy about it being raining, though.
No, but I like this. I like that it's raining because it the plants love it. I love it because it means I can actually survive. And it's just nice. It's a nice time. I know people say, "Oh, I don't like it when it rains." But I think those people are killing themselves.
Is that your favourite type of weather when it rains?
Yeah, I love it when it rains because it means I can stay inside.
What?
It means I can stay inside when it's raining and not feel bad about it.
He lives this podcast.
Yeah. I'm on brand. I don't know what's going on with the rest of you, but like for real, like I absolutely love not feeling guilty about like being inside. I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Duff this. I'm not up for it.
Okay. Have you ever just thought about moving to a climate that is more suited
every single time? But then I think to myself, but then I'll get really bored with that climate as well. I think, oh, come on, bit of summer, please.
I just want to get outside.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, what I'm saying is, I don't think anything's going to make me happy. So let's just.
If anything, you probably just are in exactly the right place in terms of.
Probably
a climate that's never going to make you happy.
Yeah,
it's enough variety to keep you going.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's never going to
just go straight into it. Yeah, okay.
This is the most maudlin our podcast has ever been, and I mean it's taken some years to get here, but this is. I'm not going to lie, lads. This is absolutely atrocious. What we're talking about. Come on.
Well, all right.
That is what happens when you kickstart off with "It's raining and I like it." Like, this is the natural progression to where we go.
Yeah, but Dan, it doesn't even sound like he likes it. He only likes it because he dislikes it less than something else he dislikes more.
I think
like
so.
It's not even. It's raining, lads, and it's brilliant. Oh, fantastic! It's just like. It's raining, lads, and this is something I like a little less more than another weather.
Yeah. I think that's right.
I mean, Sam, me and you were trying to bring some levity to it, but Pete, you're just stuck in this little circle of not being happy.
I think isn't it interesting? I think that's I think the desire to moan about things but do nothing about it is actually a very British trait. Like, to me, I feel like that's actually quite a patriotic action, what I just took there, right?
Yeah.
The ability for me to basically just say, I don't like what it is, but I'm also not prepared to make any change. So I guess I'll just bellyache about it and force others to hear my stupid opinions. So really really I should be standing and saluting the flag. Well, all right, then cheer me up. What? Tell me a nice thing that's happened to you. Tell me a nice thing that's happened to you over the last few days.
Well, I've been on holiday.
Uh-huh.
I've had a nice holiday. It's been a staycation, as they call it. I've been down in Cornwall, lovely sunny Cornwall,
Lovely.
in St Ives, which is a place I really love going. Family had a lovely time. I had a lovely time. Had some lovely croissants and some pastries by the beach. All delicious. So very relaxed, and I am just refreshed. I'm rejuvenated from my week away, and I feel ready to go. Chris is on holiday right now, so he's again rejuvenating himself at the moment.
What about you, Sam?
Me?
Yeah, go on, tell me.
Oh.
Since you're like, modelling, this is a bit much, isn't it? Go on, tell me one nice thing. One nice thing. Go on.
One nice thing. I saw some seals in Wales.
Oh, that is very nice. That is very nice.
Yeah.
What kind of seals were they? Was it was it the sea dog variety or the kissed by a rose variety?
No, hold on. I didn't see seal in Wales. I saw some seals in Wales.
Yeah, you could have gone to a seal impersonation.
I will say that's less impressive. It's less impressive just seeing seals. If you had said I saw seal, I would have been both more intrigued and probably impressed.
And also,
really? Yeah, I could pay to go and see seal.
Could you?
Yes.
I mean, you can pay to go and see seals. Go to a zoo. It's not like there are more zoos around than seal concerts.
Yeah, but spotting seals in Wales, that takes some effort. We walked quite a long way.
Spotting the pop artist seal in Wales also takes some effort, Sam.
Arguably more effort.
Yeah, arguably, yeah. You're more likely to see them.
The rarely seen Welsh seal.
Yeah, it's not the real seal, it's just the Welsh version of seal. Kissed by a rose. Oh, God.
Well, there you go. We pulled it back.
We pulled it back.
I did actually to get this somewhat on track. Whilst I was on holiday, I did try and introduce my family to some classic games that they weren't familiar with. I tried to get my mother-in-law to play Sushi Go.
Oh, nice.
Didn't matter how much I explained the game to her. From the moment she saw the cartoon Sushi, she was not having any of it. I just kept saying, "I don't think this is a game for me." So that one didn't quite work out. But the big winner, you will all be very pleased to hear, the big winner. And it wasn't a game that I took. It was a game that was in the Airbnb or kind of the rented house that we were in the cupboard. Was Ticket to Ride.
Of course it was.
I played Ticket to Ride with my 7-year-old, and he absolutely loved it.
Yeah, what game?
So Ticket to Ride was a big win, and he now wants to always play the digital version because I've got that on my phone and my iPad from the many games of Ticket to Ride mobile that we have played. So he loves playing that now as well, and he really has a good understanding. Then we do like the pass and play game. How about you, Sam? Did you play any games with Seal?
No, I didn't. I didn't play any games with Seal. Not this time, because it would have just been crazy.
All right.
It's good when you introduce the clear edit points in the podcast.
Why would I want you to edit that out? I thought that was a good Seal reference.
No. That's the end point of the opening section.
Oh, right, I see. I'll stop talking then.
No, carry on. I want to hear more Seal puns.
He's only got 2 songs.
Well, you got your work cut out for you then, haven't you?
Yeah.
But even if I said them, you wouldn't know what they were.
Was it Kiss by a Rose or Kiss from a Rose?
Kiss from a Rose. A crisp by a rose. All right, okay. Crisp by a rose. Sorry, no.
A crisp by a rose.
Crisp by a road.
Crisp by a road. That's hitchhiking.
Oh my God.
Hitchhiking Chris.
Yeah.
Serenaded
sorry.
by Seal.
Anyway.
I got this back on track, and it's just gone haywire.
I know. It's because it started at a very low bar, so it's not taken much.
Yeah.
We've been forced.
It's really not taken.
The rest will just be gold.
Anyway, so what did we play? What did we play when we went to Wales? There was quite a lot of backpack games. We went for a really long walk one day around the peninsula, in Wales, and we visited this very famous red pub, which was amazing. And I mean, I had a pint at 11 o'clock in the morning, but already been walking for an hour, so really felt like deserved it. Really deserved it. So we played a lot of. There was a bit of Dutch Blitz. Classic Tic-Tac Trek, which is one of my favourite new bung it in the bag games.
Lovely.
A small little tinned game by Alley Cat Games. It's like a variant of noughts and crosses, and I actually found out that my wife doesn't actually like noughts and crosses.
Right.
So
I don't.
Yeah, I know. I don't
know how you can.
Did you ever see there was an extreme version of Noughts and Crosses?
No.
Have you seen that? The extreme version of Noughts and Crosses is you have a normal Noughts and Crosses board, and then within each of the spaces there is another Noughts and Crosses board. So in order to claim a square, you have to have won the game within there.
Ooh, that's good.
Right. Okay.
That's a good game.
It's quite clever.
That's very clever.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm down with that.
I imagine Lisa won't enjoy that one even more so.
Yeah. If she's not a noughts and crosses fan, that's not going to go down.
It's not going to work
well
out
at all. What else did we play? We played Balloon Cup, which is a classic. That's a game I really had to hunt down for a copy for, and eventually got one on eBay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's such a good game. And then Town 77. Which is an Oink game.
Ooh.
Which is it's like a shared game of Sudoku, Town 77, and it's also like a racing game, which is really quite an interesting blend of taking something that's quite a solo experience and turning it into something that is a bit more shared. I kind of want to play it a little bit more before I talk about it more on the podcast, because we only played it as a 2-player, and I think that I need to play it with a few more people, because I think it would be really I think it would just be really interesting at other play counts. Cool. Whereas 2, it was a bit more of a like going back and forward.
Cool.
And then also on holiday I played a little bit of Donkey Kong Bonanza on my own. So we all know about Donkey Kong Bonanza, don't we? You all know about it?
Vaguely. I mean, like it's the first of the big new Nintendo games after the Mario Kart release, right? It's the first big.
Yeah.
Okay, what can this thing do? And I hear really mixed things about it. Not mixed as in like, oh, it's a poor game, or oh, it's a good game, but mixed as in like, it's good, but, and then the buts are very mixed.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I at this time, a bit like with Town 77, I don't want to say too much because I've literally only played about an hour of it, but I mean, that's never stopped me in the past.
Sure.
So, like, you're right to say that it is like the big first Nintendo release following the Switch 2.
Yes.
I mean, I'd even put it even before Mario Kart, because in terms of that's kind of like a known quantity, and they've kind of mixed up the formula slightly with Mario Kart World, but it's not a massive, it's not a big surprise. It's not an unknown quantity. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza, like this is, I think I'm right in saying this is like the first Donkey Kong game made by Nintendo since the original Donkey Kong. And it was made by the team who made Mario Odyssey, which I think is one of the best Nintendo / best games I've ever played. So I think that like the fact that Nintendo were kind of bringing Donkey Kong out of IP purgatory to lead the launch title game for the console that was going to be the successor to one of their most popular consoles that they've ever released is quite a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I still can't get my head around why they kind of waited a month after release to release the game, but hey, what do I know? So I guess the thing is, Pete, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza might be the perfect podcast game.
Okay.
Because if you've seen any clips of Donkey Kong, you know what the gameplay is like. You are Donkey Kong and you can wreck stuff. You can destroy anything. 99% of the environments you're in, you can dig, you can punch, you can pick up, you can throw, you can charge, you can jump on, you can pretty much manipulate the environment in any way that you want to, and you are thoroughly rewarded for doing so. It's a little bit like a mix between, if any of you have played SteamWorld Dig, and if you haven't, then you need to correct that as soon as possible, and Lego. And what I mean by that is it's that satisfaction of being able to basically explore a space by destroying it, but also being rewarded for every little thing you do by little gold things popping out and collecting stuff from it, like in a Lego game. When you destroy anything or hit anything, thousands of those little tokens come out and you get rewarded for it. Donkey Kong Bonanza plays on that kind of same structure. Mm-hmm. But I think what the Nintendo difference is just in the same way that over the years they have refined Mario to the point that every small thing that Mario does feels so great, i.e. jumping feels great, running feels great, double jumping feels fantastic. Like, they've just refined that whole experience, the mechanics, to such a point where every interaction with that character just feels amazing, and the animations back that up. So that's why one of the many reasons why playing those games feels so great. And what they've managed to do with Donkey Kong Bonanza is that central conceit of you are in an environment that you can smash just feels incredible. Like, I cannot imagine how obsessed they must have gotten over really refining and honing that whole central mechanic to make it feel as satisfying as it does. And the fact that you can go into a space and get completely lost in it and turned around just by the fact that you are just smashing your way through it, and not paying attention to anything else. And for tens of minutes I will just sit and smash and smash and smash and smash and whilst I'm doing it, I'm finding things like fossils and gold and bananas that are hidden underneath the crust of the earth. And it's the same collectathon-esque arrangement that's been in lots of the Donkey Kong games and lots of different games after it. But my word, just putting on an audiobook or a podcast or some music and just absolutely smashing the heck out of everything around you, it just feels so good.
That does
it's
sound
very,
pretty
very
neat.
good.
Yeah.
And I think I'd probably, maybe this is a question for kind of further down the line when you've played more of the game, but those kind of games where you have all that destructible environment and stuff, and it's interesting that you point out the idea of listening to a podcast alongside it, but I always find with games that kind of promote this destructible environment, that gets tired quite quickly. And I'm just kind of wondering, and as I say, it might be that you can't really speak on that until further down the line when you've played it more. But I always kind of worry with those things, because it does sound, those kind of games sound brilliant. Like, you can destroy everything. Brilliant, fantastic, great stuff. The possibilities are endless. Actually, after a short amount of time, it gets a bit tiresome. So I'm just kind of wondering, do you think having that ability to just switch your brain off otherwise, because obviously you're talking about putting on a podcast and stuff, so you're not necessarily engrossed in a narrative or anything like that. Obviously, it's a Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm not saying you're going to have the Last of Us style narratives with it,
No.
but do you think that ability to be able to switch off will prevent that destructibility becoming tiresome?
I think that's a whole idea. I think that's, it's part of what the appeal of the game is, right? It's the fact that you are encouraged in areas to basically just explore, but you explore by smashing stuff. Like, if you want to go and find if you want to just complete and go through the levels end to end, well, you can do that. But if you want to find everything and find all the collectibles, you've got to go searching, and you've got to go digging, and you've got to go smashing. And I think that, as I said, like, every time you smash something, you get a reward for doing that. And I just think that I don't know how. I think my lizard brain is is basically hardwired to such a degree at this stage that I just don't think that will ever get tiresome. Because the game does so much to kind of reward you for taking part and engaging with that central mechanic, even to the fact that I've heard that further on down the line, it's also how you have to solve puzzles, and also how you can sort of also get around different puzzles and get around sections just by sort of digging your way around it. So I think the game is going to incredible lengths to reinforce how essential and how integral that sort of destruction mechanic is. So yeah, I will report more, because I'm basically, I've played it for a ton, but I'm still in the tutorial area because I'm just having that much fun just smashing lots of stuff.
That's cool.
That I'm just not getting anywhere near where I should be. I don't even know if I've learned all the tricks and all the moves, but we'll see.
I've been playing a podcast game myself, actually, an audiobook game myself, and if you're a new listener, hello. Yes, wasn't Chris's interview with the guy who did that game really good?
I love the fact that you've forgotten already.
Yeah. Everybody's gone to the Rapture. So, of course I knew.
And their name was?
And their name was Dan Pinchbeck, of course.
Yes.
Really, really cool interview with him up as a bonus episode. Listener, if you haven't heard it, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But an audiobook podcast game, if you're new to us, is basically a game in which you can play a video game and you don't need to listen to the audio, and it works well to listen to other things, most notably podcasts or audiobooks or things along those lines. And I'm always looking for a good one of those. Because to be perfectly honest with you, the way that I consume books is very much I'm doing something else at the same time. I find it, it's one of the beauties of audiobooks for me. And so we talked about a few in the past. There is, of course, my beloved Gran Turismo 7, which, and hint, the game I'm going to talk about is a racing game. And I do think racing games actually, I've sort of realised that actually I really, obviously I've always known that I really like racing games, but I have had a bit of a hankering to keep pushing through a bunch of them at the moment, because I've got a lot of books I want to listen to, and they are, I think as a genre, they are the perfect genre where you go, yeah, there's almost no entry in this genre where it doesn't make sense to be an audiobook game. But I wanted to just tell you that I've been playing a game called Ridge Racer. And that is a blast from the past, But I've been playing it in a really specific way, and that is through. And I need to read this out because it's really important. It's the Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer version. So, really important. Arcade Archives. So this is an entire series by Hamster Corporation, and basically what they do is they take arcade games. You've probably seen them on the eShop and on the PlayStation Store and stuff like that. They sometimes they say ACA, and then there'll be a Neo Geo game, for example. So it'll say like ACA King of Fighters 2003, or ACA Golden Tee, or something along those lines. They are a company that basically brings arcade games specifically, ports them to modern consoles. I've had a quick look. I can't find any of them elsewhere, but they're on consoles generally. And the reason I say arcade games is that they're not really interested in porting those old home console versions of things. They're specifically taking arcade quality versions and making them available for modern consoles. So this includes things like putting in a coin to have a credit. This includes every single part of that arcade experience, including like rolling loops and like insert coins and attract modes and all of that sort of stuff. And the reason it's Arcade Archives 2 is that there are two versions of Arcade Archives Ridge Racer, and the one that you want, in my opinion, is Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. God, right, that's that bit out of the way of that's the one that you want, and that's the one that I'm talking about.
Always a good sign of a game that you need to spend about 5 minutes explaining the title.
Honestly, yeah. That is my biggest critique, that basically there are two versions of this, and they look very, very, very similar. The original Arcade Archives Ridge Racer also came out and is very, very... Again, it's also very similar. It is an arcade perfect port of Ridge Racer, but it doesn't have all of the additional fancy pants bits that I'm going to talk about. And specifically, I've been playing Arcade Archives 2, so I want to make that really clear. That's the version I'm talking about. So Ridge Racer is a classic PlayStation video game. It's in a whole bunch of... it's in Astro's Playroom. It's been part of the PlayStation brand for a really long time. There's a really iconic car that's kind of red and green that you often see kind of associated with PlayStation, but it's actually a Namco game. And it started off life in the arcades on something called the System 32. And this hardware was basically... I don't know how close it was to the PlayStation, but the PlayStation, it was really cool that could run Ridge Racer. And so it's kind of always had that link, essentially. This version is that System 32 version. So here's how many tracks you get. You get one. You get one track, and it takes 2.5 minutes to complete a lap. Now there are two versions of that track. One is a slightly extended version, but it's not a gigantic difference. There are a few different race types. So there are slower versions, so kind of like Mario Kart, so 50, 100, 150, that kind of thing. Basically, the game is faster or slower. And then there is a 1v1 mode where you are racing a one AI opponent, or you are racing multiple AI opponents, but the one AI opponent is the one that is the fastest version of all of this stuff on the longest course. It's called the TT mode. And there's no car select. You are playing as one vehicle. You can see this is really bare bones, right? This is an arcade game. And it's the kind of arcade game that you sit down in the cockpit, and you are, with a steering wheel, and you do all this good stuff. And what they've done is they've taken that and they've put that onto PlayStation 5 is where I played it. And if it was just that, it would be an amazing experience, but it certainly wouldn't be worth, over a tenner is what I paid for it. I'm sure it will come down in price every now and again. You can keep these on your wish list, and sometimes all of those versions come down a little bit in price. It definitely wouldn't be worth the money. However, this version also includes a kind of additional layer on top of this, which allows you to do things where the meat of the game for me actually is, and is the reason that I recently platinumed the game. So, and by the way, easy platinum, real nice, easy platinum. Basically, the layer that they add on top of it is online ranking, and the reason that that's important is because everyone is focused on a very small selection of courses on one single track with one vehicle in a very small number of modes, and that makes things super competitive because you are there's no, oh well, if am I driving the wrong car, or oh did I, maybe I'll focus on this track instead of that track, maybe this track's just not my bag. It's like, no, like there's one major course, one vehicle, go and figure out who's the fastest, and it's brilliant. I've spent a couple of hours just hooning it around this course, listening to some incredible, that classic Japanese soundtrack from the 90s racing games in the arcades that is like really upbeat Eurobeat almost, that initial D, Wangan Midnight Maximum tune, that kind of era of like over the top dance music that's kind of got an Italian European influence to it, that Ridge Racer style to it, where everything is super bright and colourful, where you turn around a corner and on each part of the track there is something new and interesting either happening on the course itself, like you're racing against really beautiful, super, low poly but really bright and vibrant vehicles, like whipping it, chucking the oversteer out and whipping the back end out and flicking around a corner, or there's a gigantic Boeing 747 that is taking off from the island just as you go underneath it, and you're taking off, or a helicopter follows you down the track, gets in front of your car, and like you can see that it's filming you, and then flies off to do another thing. Like, it is genuinely like that level of exciting arcade. And then what they've done on top of that is they've then gone, oh, and by the way, you are now playing against the world to figure out how good you are at this.
This wasn't the question I was going to ask, but how good are you?
How good am I? I'm like top 250, so that means I'm probably like 248 or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, I mean, like, I'm able to rank, like I'm able to get into that ranks and see where I'm at. I'm nowhere near as good as I should be. The thing I think that's holding me back at the moment is that the only difference that you can make a change on is there's something called there's essentially like an automatic gear version and a manual gear version, and I am not good enough to do manual gears. If you do manual gears, you can do the classic, and if you've not played a Ridge Racer game before, then you might not know this, but basically Ridge Racer has this thing, and it's really odd when you play it for the first time. It feels really strange, whereby when you start to whip the back end out, it sort of almost, not on a rail, but like it almost like carries you round the corner. It's really difficult to describe. It is a very specific thing to Ridge Racer, and the way that you do it is that you quickly decelerate by hitting brake, turn, and then reaccelerate, like start that acceleration, and it kicks the back end out, and basically it almost like not puts you on a rail, but like it's very close, like whips you round the corner, and then your point is kind of like your action is basically kind of help figure out where you'll come out the other side of that, and then get back into putting the car into a straightforward motion so that you've got complete grip with your tires and the road as quickly as possible, so that you can start accelerating to top speed again. Like, that's basically the arcadiness of it. And I'm bad at manual gears, so I've mostly been on automatic. I think some of the pros are able to do stuff with the manual gears that I'm just not able to quite do at the moment. And that means that I think, and also I've not put in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into this thing, and I get the feeling some of these people have put a lot of hours into this.
And with these, with the rankings and stuff, is there an element of being able to see what your friends are doing? Because I'm not a big kind of racing game fan. Mainly, I'm not very good at them. But one thing I did enjoy, which actually did speak to me when you were talking about like a really minimalist like really small number of track, really single car, so it is just kind of your skill against other people's skill. The thing I always remember with racing games was years ago playing Mario Kart Wii with Sam, and we would just do one track and we would just compete against each other on one track, and it'd be milliseconds ahead of each other, and then I'd go a millisecond ahead of Sam and he'd find another millisecond ahead of that, and it was really great just to have that back and forth. Is there an element where you can look at friends' times in this as well, or is it just
I think so.
the global ranking?
Yeah, I think so. Like, so you can definitely go and find out where yours is, right? So some of these online ranking things in other games are just like, oh, well, you submitted a score, but it doesn't really matter because you're not in the top 100. And that always feels a bit sucky. So you can always figure out where your score is. And you are on global rankings. I think there is a way to like swap between like your friends and stuff like that. I think there is that, but in the end, it sort of doesn't matter because like I can tell you, I can go and take a screenshot of my thing and just say, by the way, lads, I'm this number now. Like, and that's global. There's no, the people who are at the top of this thing will be at the top of it for you, and they'll be at the top of it for me. Right, and so if your ranking is 152 and mine is 197. Like that's it. Like we all know where we're at and what our times are, and it is that milliseconds of difference. There are when I played last, which was I think a day or so ago. There were three of us who had exactly the same time, and we were all locked in that same position. We were all at the same ranking because we'd all hit this very specific number, and then. Literally 1,000th of a second, 1,000th of a second was the difference between us and the next set of rankings. And then the next set of rankings was another 1,000th of a second. Like, it is because the laps are so quick and because the competition is so fierce, it really is as small numbers as that. And the other really cool thing about it is that because it is super polished and it was always built to be like this, there aren't any weird hacks. So I'm looking at the top of the leaderboard and going, I don't think I'm that good, but I can see how I could get there.
Yeah.
It's really, really exciting. And the reason I think it's a really good audiobook game, apart from the fact it's just a racing game and you don't have to give a toss about the crazy announcer over the top of it who's shouting, wow, that was a great turn. You must be a great, real sort of, that really beautiful era of like Japanese folks saying English lines but not really quite understanding what words they're saying. Like that is a real thing that the voiceover actors in Japan used to do. They used to get English lines and they just say them and not really understand what things they were saying. It's great. Like it's that era of like, it's that crazy taxi like, hey, let's make some crazy money. Like that level of thing, right? That's the era we're talking about. And so you don't need any of that stuff on. But what you do need is you get to the end of a lap and you go, I was 1/10 of a second too slow around that, and I know exactly which corner it was. Restart. And like you're going through this, putting in the laps. And it's great because if in the background, you're listening to the Fellowship walk into Mordor or whatever it is, like you've got the thing that's keeping your brain active, and you've also got the thing that's keeping your reflexes and that kind of like lower level stuff going in this game. Like you're just getting better and better and better at this one track.
A couple of episodes ago, you spoke to us about Judgment and about how when you finished Judgment, you were going to play something that was built for the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And now you're on here talking about Ridge Racer.
Yeah.
So
it's a game. Well, it's a game from '93, but here's the thing: like this. So this Arcade Archives 2 version.
Yeah.
This does come with that overlay stuff. It does come with the stuff that is like proper time rankings. It is flawless. It is like I didn't play much of Ridge Racer in the arcades, but like I cannot...
Hang on, Pete. Hang on, Pete. You cannot try and make an argument that a remake of a 1993 game is pushing the limits of what the PlayStation 5 could do. Because it has an overlay.
Absolutely, but I will say this: like those arcade ports are not the easiest things to get up and running. Like the System 32 is it was early polys, it was all of that stuff, and they're doing some really good stuff in there, right? This is a very good conversion, and yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't need the power of the PlayStation 5 to make this thing, to make System 32 run or anything along those lines. But all of these extra niceties and all that good stuff, they definitely have. It feels like they've made a 93 classic, and let's not muck around. We're talking about a game that is nearly 30 years old now. In fact, it is over 30 years old, right? We're talking about a game that is, it does feel old, but it also intrinsically feels very modern in the way that, because of this Arcade Archives version, which gives you this ability to compete, it gives you, and it's a very refreshing take. So you're right. It's not the cyberpunk that I promised I would go and play, and it's not any of that sort of stuff. And I am playing a made for PS5 game at the moment as well, Lushfoil, which is also an audiobook game, I think. But I think that this Ridge Racer it's really impressive. And it's gone from, the Arcade Archives have gone from a series where I've gone, oh yeah, they exist, and sort of I'm seeing them every now and again and thinking, yeah, no, they exist, but also I've played a bunch of these Neo Geo games, and I don't really care about things like Xanadu and I don't know, like all these other Gallop Racer and all that, this sort of stuff. Like, I'm just not, those arcade games weren't really part of my growing up. But now that they're into System 32 stuff, I am really interested to see what they do next from the arcade scene, because we're now getting into the era of, yes, we've done Space Invaders and we've got Pac-Man, and those do exist, and that's great. But now we're getting into the era of, what other arcade games are there that are actually a bit more difficult to emulate now, and actually do kind of need a bit more specialist, like, know how to get up and running and make really, really fancy. Because I think there's a whole wealth of games like this that I would love to see come to the PlayStation 5 that I think could have another life beyond the arcades of like the 90s and noughties.
There's a game that I'd like to just share for reasons that might not become obvious. Is that, like, I think it's a great game and it plays really well and it's made a real impact on our table and we really enjoy it for playing it. But I kind of just wanted to share it for being one of those games that that does a really interesting thing with theme and design in terms of making you like understand like a cultural, it gives you like some sort of cultural understanding of something. And it's a game called Ofrenda. Now, do either of you know what an Ofrenda is?
No, I don't.
So this is all to do about Dia de los Muertos.
Okay.
Do either of you know what that is?
Is that the Day of the Dead?
I was going to say, is that Day of the Dead?
That is the Day of the Dead. So this is a game from Osprey Games, all about the Day of the Dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And initially, when they kindly sent this to us to review on the show, I was a little bit sort of hesitant about, how am I going? Yeah, I hide it well, but I am not Mexican in any shape or form. And
excuse me.
Yeah.
And culturally,
¿Por qué?
And sort of culturally, this like part of the world is like, I feel like is a massive like blind spot in terms of really understanding. Like, I think we've all, especially now where it's kind of been appropriated in things like parts of our drinking culture,
sure,
and other things like that. The Day of the Dead festival, or Festival of the Dead, has been like sort of turned into an aesthetic rather than really understanding what happens or what the festival is actually about. And I think that is the thing that I really want to speak about this game in terms of what I think it's doing, which is superb, is handling a very, very deeply insensitive cultural element of a whole country, but presenting it in a board game form with mechanics where there's a winner. And I think that's such a it's such a tricky balance to get, and I think it really does an amazing job of doing it. So Ofrenda is when you the first thing that they nail is basically just how colourful and how vibrant this game looks from all of its different components to the rule book. All the attention has been put into it to really make it feel like it is of a part of that festival. If you've seen any of the sort of the designs, the general sort of style of what that festival looks like, you'll be very much at home. You'll be able to sort of imagine what this board game looks and feels like. Also, in terms of the quality of the game, it is typical of Osprey that they have put a lot of time and effort into how this game looks outside of the box and feels as well. There's just little things in terms of the boards themselves that you play the game on have a slight corner taken out of the top right hand, which makes them easier to get in and out of the box. And I don't know if Osprey were the first company to start doing this with the games that they produce, but it was definitely the first company that I started to notice them doing it with all the games they produce. And how the game works is that every player gets an Ofrenda. An Ofrenda is essentially, I guess, what we would call an altar, an area of the house, as it's culturally known, that people during the Festival of the Dead will have pictures along with certain items in order to remember those who have passed. And so the aim of the game is that each player, and this is going to sound really crass for me saying this, is each player has their own Ofrenda, and it's kind of who can get the best one. And so what happens is you have this stack of cards that have each got the faces of those who have passed on them, and you've got to create the best environment, the right sort of standard and settings for this person who was in your family who has now passed, for them to come and visit. So if you're familiar with other sort of games that are like this, I think the mechanic is something called pattern matching. Pete, you'll be very familiar with it with something like Harmonies or Cascadia. The idea that you have something and it only scores points, or it only is valid if it's next to something else, or it combos if it's alongside something, or it needs something else to be in that vicinity in order for it to be valuable at the end of the game in terms of scores. And I think I've got Cascadia, I really love it. I'd really like to play Harmonies. I love those types of games where you are put into this decision where you need to make sacrifices, you need to make quick decisions, but also you don't necessarily have to rely on a lot of long-term planning, because the market where you're getting stuff from kind of constantly changes and evolves, and you have to kind of think very much on the fly. And so what Ofrenda does is you each have this own altar where you're creating this Ofrenda, and you have this marketplace of faces of people who have passed, and you've got to make sure that all those people fit in the right place into your altar. So you might have a family member who really doesn't want to be next to these other types of family members. All the family members have a certain, what I sort of refer to as a kind of like a personality. They'll have a colour, So this family member doesn't want to be next to any of these other family members. This family member needs to be next to another family member who prefers this type of offering, because there's sort of 5 key offerings that are part of the festival: water, fruit, salt, papal, picado, and calavera, which is the sweet skulls that you no doubt have seen on lots of sort of images to do with this festival. So each sort of family member, in order to be pleased and sort of welcomed back into your home after they've passed on to the afterlife, needs to have certain conditions and certain situations meant for them to basically for that to happen, and then them to score at the end of the game. So in some ways it is very much like your sort of standard sort of pattern matching game. But there is just, I think, for me, it was the whole art, the vibrancy, how much it feels really like it's embracing this cultural aspect of it, and how you are tasked with almost bringing this family to life, really struck with me in a way. And I really felt like at the end of the game, and this might sound quite silly, at the end of the game I really felt like I understood the personalities of the people that were on the altar in front of me. Sure. I was like, oh, okay, well that's Uncle John, right? He never liked, he doesn't like sweet stuff, so he doesn't want to be near skulls. Like, I understand why he doesn't want to be there. And it sounds like really silly, but like, it's just, if you ever played games with me, one of the things that I love to do is I love to narrativize. Yeah. It's one of the ways of bringing games to life. And like the mood that this game creates, and how safe you feel in terms of the effort that they've gone to really understand this massive cultural event, feels like you're really bringing it to life on the table.
I think when you've got a game like this that is kind of covering this kind of culturally specific element, I think there is a worry that it's going to be a game with like a skin applied to it, so and it covers then that theme. What it sounds like from what you're explaining, and kind of from the images you can see, because I've been looking at as you've been talking, it very much feels like this is a game about this festival, about this cultural kind of touchstone, as opposed to a game designed with kind of a skin applied to it. It sounds and it looks like a game that has to be about this festival based on the mechanics that it is involving. It without the festival, it doesn't really make as much sense. If I'm kind of getting it right.
Yeah, no, I think you're reading it really well. It's kind of you get the feeling that they wanted to create a game about the festival rather than, oh, we've got this great game, but it just hasn't.
Yes,
we don't know what the theme is. Yeah. We could make it abstract, because like it is, not only is it a game about the festival, but it's also a game about family, and it feels like it's a game about family dynamics and how difficult managing families are and pleasing members of the family. You can't please everyone all the time, and you really feel like you sort of let family members down when you know that you can't fulfill the things that they need in order to come and visit, and for how the game depicts it is that you turn the card around and the candle lights in front of them, and they lose this skull like visage, and they come back in the fullness of being, like how you remembered them when they used to walk around your house. So it's very, very evocative in that sense. But that feeling of, families and remembering families and trying and paying your respects in the right way really feels so entwined with the mechanics that it's just kind of like, obviously the mechanics have been used in other games, and very, very well, abstract games like we've already mentioned, like Harmonies, and more thematic games like Cascadia. But it is one of those real marriages of, mechanics and theme that are so well intertwined that you couldn't imagine, one without the other, and any sort of other way of doing it might seem like it is more appropriation rather than sort of making a space to explore kind of a massive cultural touchstone. So I think if you see Ofrenda, and if you like games like Harmonies and Cascadia and Calico, then I think it's definitely worth a play. And even if you are just interested in the Day of the Dead and that kind of aesthetic, I think this is a great cultural touchstone to start really navigating that and really understanding how important and how crucial that kind of festival is. Like it's an amazing piece of sort of cultural storytelling through a board game. Like very good, very well done.
Yeah, that is really cool. Like I do like the fact that games have this, because they're participatory. I do like this fact that they have this. Well, you need to engage with especially when they're done well, you need to engage with the actual subject matter to be able to understand, or it encourages you to engage with the subject matter in a way that is like interesting, right? Because like there's nothing, I'm personally, that's nothing to do with my life, right? Like that kind of thing. But the fact that I can go and play a game about it and learn something a little bit about it, kind of a little bit like something like Daybreak, for example, where I'm playing and then I'm actually learning something about that thing. That to me is one of the really beautiful things that I think games can do, and it sounds really, really cool that you've found one of those.
Right, so we spoke a bit about arcade games. Did you know that I was listening to, if you haven't heard it, then I really recommend Post Games, a podcast series hosted by Chris Plant. And one of the latest episodes, he's done a discussion with a gaming historian called Jeremy Parish about the history of Donkey Kong.
Jeremy
it's
Parish,
great, and
he's great.
Did you know that one of the reasons that we have Donkey Kong is the fact that Nintendo ended up, through lots of different reasons, basically having loads of arcade cabinets with this game in it that no one wanted to buy. And so they were like, oh my god, we need to come up with something. Who's got an idea? And Shigeru Miyamoto puts his hand up and says, I've got an idea for something. And then, Nintendo was born. And it's just, I find things like that really fascinating, where like necessity really is the mother of invention, or something they never intended to create was created. So I did a little search. We love these.
Go on.
for the things that weren't necessarily, or the things that were kind of invented, but they're not used for what they originally invented for. So, for example, bubble wrap. Did you know this was originally meant to be a textured wallpaper?
No,
it wasn't.
And then it was going to be greenhouse insulation. But then IBM needed packaging for their computer equipment, and then they used this bubble wrap.
Incredible. I love it. I've got one as well.
Go on.
What was YouTube originally for?
Well, I don't want to say it.
No, okay. Not what you're thinking. Not the thing that we now need to get a photo ID for. No. They were. So YouTube was originally a. You remember those? You might remember from like I don't know, like silly TV shows where they show bloopers and silly things along those lines. You remember they used to do things where you would do like video dating, where you would say hi, you'd sit in front of a camera and they go, hi, my name's Barry and I'm from wherever. the idea was that YouTube was going to be an online version of that. Like it was going to be essentially a dating app. And so they put it all together, and what they found is that all of their users, they weren't really putting stuff online about themselves. They were basically just putting up videos of cats. And so what they did, they realised is their model was actually completely wrong. They were like, oh, people don't actually want to do dating on this, but they sure as heck want to share videos, funny cat videos. And that's how YouTube was born.
Yeah. There's a great one for the chainsaw. It's
Cool.
a bit grim.
Okay.
So apparently in the 18th century, doctors needed something better than a small knife to perform a specific procedure during childbirth.
Lovely.
So they created basically a hand cranked saw. You can put two and two together.
Yeah,
Let's not delve into it.
Yeah, let's not.
And then eventually that design was basically nicked by loggers who just thought, actually, this would be good for cutting down trees. And that was it.
Did you know Listerine, the mouthwash, was originally a floor cleaner?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Super glue was a World War II thing.
Yes.
And it was basically scientists were trying to basically work on plastic gun sights, but everything kept on sticking together. And basically they worked out why things kept on sticking together. And
Incredible.
they turned that into a commercial property and sold it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm pretty sure that frisbees
Go
were
on.
originally pie-tins by a frisbee, I think the company was called Frisbee Pies or something like that, and the pie-tins they used became what we now know as frisbees. People would use them as a game, and so they started making them as a toy as frisbees. So they started off as pie-tins.
Oh, wow.
That's
great.
That's really good.
And we and finally we all know about, of course, the origins of quinine.
Do we?
Yeah, so like quinine is a natural medicine that can fight malaria,
Right.
and then
Oh, I think I know.
basically I think they would mix soldiers fighting in like India and places would mix the quinine with gin to make it more palatable because quinine's quite bitter.
Right.
And then that's how we get gin and tonic.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something else. I was thinking this one might be fake. But I'm sure I heard somewhere that Coca-Cola used to be a medicine.
Yes, no, that's
When
true
it was
as well.
origi-
That's true.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah. So that was originally made as a medicine.
It was branded as
Yes.
a medicine, just to be clear. It was. It wasn't. Yeah. Wow.
So if you've got an invention that you think needs just a little bit of helpful marketing
Yeah.
to turn it
that
around,
that we will do something else with.
Yeah.
that we will do something else with, then pitch it to us. Okay, actually, no, not to us, just to Pete.
Yeah.
Okay, Pete's going to take this on.
Pete, what you want it to be for to Pete, and then
Yeah.
Pete will go away and find another use for it.
I will. I 100% will.
And you can email Pete at stayinginpod@gmail.com.
Thanks very much.
You can send Pete a message on Instagram,
Yeah.
stayinginpod.
Yeah.
Just look for us on there. Or on Facebook, we're Staying in Pod as well. You won't get Pete through the Board Game Geek or Steam curated pages
No.
that we've got there, but what you will get, and it's a great invention of ours, is a list of all the board games and all the video games that we've ever spoken about on the show. So in a way, it's kind of a curated list of great stuff that we have spoken about. I'm going to send Chris some ideas for what he can maybe use to add to our Spotify playlists that will cover Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Good idea.
because, I mean, at the moment, most of what I hear is just Donkey Kong going, oh, banana.
Right.
So
as
we'll,
he is wont
we'll
to do.
workshop it. Yeah, as he is wont to do. So, but if you'd like to hear what else is on those Spotify playlists, which again is a kind of mix of soundtracks and themes and music from the films and video games that we bring to the show, then look in the show notes, and that's a link out to Spotify for all of that.
Indeed.
Ah, right. Are we done?
I think we are done.
Are we done? Right.
I
So,
think we are.
as always, trousers or pants?
Pants.
Trousers.
When we say pants, do we mean pants or do we mean
Well,
trousers?
by saying pants, we're covering both sides of the Atlantic.
And both, of course, the north-south divide.
In the north, what? Do they
Yeah,
do they
yeah.
do they do they not call it trousers in the north?
No? Or pants?
Wow. Today truly has been a school day.
Yes.
I think so. Anyway, my
I
wife
think it's
calls them
pants. I think it's
Anyway.
pants optional. Anyway, yeah.
Pants optional. Take care.
Take care.